Back to another lesson of the Logos and Letters. My name is Liam, and we're going to look to finish off chapter 9, get to chapter 10 today. This paragraph is a whirlwind. It is in relation to the speed of things like chapter 5 and 7, or chapter, it's another long one. Chapter 6 was kind of long too. This just flies past. I mean, we've gone through two categories in themselves in one paragraph, and I'll speak more to that in a second. And we're about to look at some more, so buckle up. Hypermenun, tuton tosauta legetai. You can even tell by his tone here. Hypermenun, tuton tosauta. Menun has, by the 5th century in Greek, has taken on this really like transitional term, okay? So usually just means like therefore. It's almost a demonstrative, like hos in a way. And men obviously introduces like contrasting, I don't know if they'd say adversative, but definitely contrasting ideas. And when they're together, the sense of is theorized to have begun, the therefore. Like, that's how transitional and how like sort of forceful this term is in Attic Greek, even though it's just a couple syllables really. It has this like, I'm summing up with men, and then I'm introducing something new there, right? I'm wrapping things up. It's almost like when people in English say, look here, listen here, you know, that they're just going to say something briefly and wrap it up. But not always, of course. It's just, that's a way of understanding what I'm trying to get at here. So when he says hypermenon, and even using hyper, sorry to get caught on the grammar here, but hyper with the genitive, in this sense, is performing the same, the purpose. It's performing the role of purpose, which is like much more uncommon for hyper, and it's like saying concerning and about these things. So much has been said, like, and usually you'd get peri, P-E-R-I, or B epsilon rho iota, and that would serve the same role. And he's doubling up. It's strange. He's got a tone here. I don't know what that tone is. I can't tell you. I don't know what it would sound like from his mouth coming from him, but it's definitely definitely stands out as a hurry up sort of thing. So in regards to all these things that we've spoken about, so much has been said. Right? It is said and but it's got kai as well, so it's like, and moreover, right? And it's said moreover, concerning the state of not position, no, posture. In a state of posture, it's in the relatives. That's key, right? So it's said that posture is in the relatives. So whenever the conversation is about posture, it's talking about the relatives. Insofar, hoti paranumos apoton thesion legatai, because paronyms are formed from the positions. Paronyms are from the positions. So if I go here, ton thesion, positions. Now, the last time we looked at that, really, ton thesion, thesis, it comes up now and then, but we looked at position and order in chapter 6, some key rules there, if we go back. But for now, let's press on. Hyperdeton loipon. So, concerning the others, or what's left over, ton loipon, tu de pote, right? Supreme genus. Pote. Kai tu pu. Supreme genus. Kai to tu ekain. Supreme genus. We've got 3 supreme genera in a clause. Talk about speed. That's what I'm talking about. There's something here. I reckon that was like a way of speaking back then. That was like almost slang. But let's continue. Tieto profanei ainai uden autonalo legatai e hossa narke arethe. Right? This is arethe. This is spoken of, like in the beginning it was spoken of. It was said. I should say it was said. It was said. Okay, so in what was said in the beginning? Well, he's speaking about the three supreme genera. He's speaking about the when did it happen, the where did it happen, and the having, tu echain, right? Having something. And he's already spoken about posture as well there, okay? He's talking about paronyms and everything. Anyway, we'll tie it all together in a nice little bow, but let's continue. Dia to profane. To profane is like what you set out to do in a way, like your intention or it's almost like preface as well. But in this sentence, you'd say on accord, like in accord with the intention or what we've set out to do. Uden huperauton alolegatai, but none of it is said of another thing, is spoken of another thing, insofar as in the beginning it was said. Hotito echain, the having, men mainai to hypodedestai, to hoplistai, right? So hoplistai and hypodedestai is to have shoes on, like to have shoes, to be shod, would be a good English translation of that. To be shoed, I guess you could say as well. But that makes you sound like an animal because horses and cows and bulls get shoed. But anyway, hoplistai is to be armed, okay, to be equipped for battle, to have any sort of armaments for war on your person. Hoyon, so where hoyonen lukaioi, right, in the lyceum, in the university, the academy. In lukaioi kai ta'alla dahu hossa huprauton erethe, right? Again, erethe, it was said, it was spoken, it is said. All right, let's tie it all up together. So, toechain, right? So this is hoplistai, to be equipped for war, is he not? He's got his mail, his helm. I'm just going to say it like this because I reckon there's some antiquaries in the audience that will correct me if I try to get too specific. Helm with a visor, there. Mail, coat of mail. It looks like a fleur-de-lis, but I don't think it actually is. I think it's something slightly different, could be. And he's got his heraldry and his spear. He's definitely equipped for war, or plistai. Who else is equipped for something? Who else has something? Here he is shoed, hypoderestai. Okay, so that's the supreme genus of having. Okay, what a substance has is its own category of accidents, right? And it's a very important one too, even for horses. Like, let me see if I can get image of a horse. To have a saddle and spurs is very, very important for a knight to lance properly, to conduct war properly. Okay, so echain is very, very important. How could a navigator do so without all the apparatus for navigation, all right, cartography? James Cook, the leader of 3 immense, mind-boggling, almost impossible voyages, conducted his cartography so perfectly to the detail that the majority of his maps, drawn from like between 1770 and 1790 really, were so detailed that they weren't replaced until GPS gave images and maps. Right? He wasn't replaced by anything except GPS, so that's how important the supreme genus of echain is. And to be clear, he mapped the Great Barrier Reef, and all its islands, with the majority of it, all that he passed through, and he passed through a great deal of it. He and all the shoals and reefs in the in different parts like Tonga, the systems in Tonga, the systems in Samoa, Tahiti, right? So that's how important this category is. It's not just your fashion. No, sir. No, sir, indeed. Okay. Let's continue on. So let me get rid of that. Let me just clean that one up. We've talked about it. Hopplista, I've talked about it. Okay. Difference between life and death. Toikai, done. All right. Let's talk about what's next. Position. All right. No, I shouldn't say position. Location, because it's going to get us mixed up with another word that we're using a lot. So, where is it? Where does it actually say? Right. So, where is something? All right. That matters. It's an accident. Okay. It's an accident that's extremely important. Okay. So, let's just pick a random image here. For the three wise men, being in the manger was a big deal. All right, being in the manger is a massive deal. It's what they set out to accomplish and achieve. It's the intelligence that Herod wants. He won't get, thankfully. Where else is another important location? Young Werther in Valheim, or next to Lottie. Right, he's Lottie. Is an important accident. Just ask him, okay? Well, ask him before. Actually, I won't spoil anything. Anyway, they're in their study. Again, supreme genus of location, very important. They are, looks like they're in more so the circus than the Colosseum, where they run their races. Very important. They are... Right, they are I think this is the 8th circle of hell. That's a pretty tremendous accident to have if you're a substance. Say you're in the 8th circle of hell. Sort of speechless how to account for that. And just last one, you are in front of windmills. All right, Don Quixote is in front of windmills. All right, or for him, giants. So that's another one. So we can get rid of that. Our position is extremely important. Ask astronomers, just ask anyone who has anything to do with space or rockets. Your position is extremely important. So I'll get rid of that. Or maybe I already have. Yeah, there we go. Next one. Let's do another one here. Cleaned up these two again. So I can get rid of that. Pote, when? That's an important one. When did something happen? When, when did it happen? When, how long ago? Is it now? Okay, there's a difference. If you speak of a civilization, you're watching the accident of when change. Ready? There you go. Voila. That is the accident of change. Speaks for itself. Res loquitur, res ipsa loquitur. So let me get rid of this one as well. Where is it? Okay, when. All right, so let's wrap this up now. The key thing up here is that if you're sitting, now this right now is hair splitting. I will give you that. If you're sitting, okay, let me get or someone reclining here, reclining. It's reclining, okay? There are two things that are happening. There's the posture of the body and the arrangement of the parts. The arrangement of the parts, because of the posture, is the relative. All right? You arrange your parts by the posture, you actually sit. And then you're paronymously called the sitting one. This kid's called the reclining kid. All right? So it's a paronym formed from that. That's a relative, okay? The positions, all right, thesis is a relative thing. We looked at it in Chapter 6, we even spoke of how it had parts related to each other, right? Implies something. If you say the sitting kid, then there's probably other kids that are not sitting, or it's in relation to the observer, right? I'm standing, that's a sitting kid, okay? That's a reclining kid. All right, so the man is sitting at the end of his bed. You know, the posture is one thing, the position is another. All right, the position of his parts. We recognize that accident as being sort of fitting a posture, and we form a name about it. All right, and this posture, this kaisthai, is an arrangement of parts. All right, so you lay down on bed, your posture is like reclining, your parts are arranged in that posture. We form a paranym. See how closely related those two are, right? Because of the arrangement of parts, you get positions, right? It's a substance, it persists, right? We talked about discrete and continuous quantities, I think in the very first lesson of chapter 6. So if you want to revisit that, that's an important one. But because it can hold the position, you know, it has a position, and that can be spoken of in relation to another person, such as the observer or anyone else in the room, if there be several or just one. And yeah, okay, so is there an artwork of two different people in two different postures? Yes, there is. The standing one, you know exactly, and the sitting one, you know exactly the one that I'm speaking of. All right, the sitting one, the standing one is why are those paronyms formed? Because they're in the posture in the first place. The posture is formed, the parts are in that position of the posture, we form a paronym from it. So relatives are at play, but it's not kaisthai, the supreme genus, that actually is a relative. Right? So posture is its own thing. Okay, it's its own thing, and it just so happens that relations are sprung from it. Relations are generated by it. So keep that in mind. Don't get the two mixed up. They are closely related. So if they do feel closely related, you are completely correct and you are understanding it properly. And yeah, look, I know this feels like a whirlwind, this lesson. It feels a bit messier than the other lessons. However, when all is said and done, and in relation to this part as well, which was quick as well, after everything is said and done, I'm going to come back and complete these two chapters for him. I'm going to write it in Attic Greek as well, in the same form of Greek that he's done it, and I'm going to complete these chapters. First of all, I'm going to have to go through all of his work, which I haven't done yet. And when I mean all of it, I do mean all of it, such as the stuff he wrote on animals, the stuff he wrote on the weather, and I'm going to add and complete this. Might even live stream it. Who knows how long in the future that will be. But I am set out to do it, unless God calls me home first. Then I hope someone else does it. Maybe someone else already has done it. I don't know. But that's like my personal, I don't know, what do they say these days? Side quest of what I want to achieve. Yeah, and I'll live stream me figuring it out and writing it in Greek. Okay, so, and then those two chapters can be finished, right? Well, those two paragraphs, because chapter 9, you know, he obviously wasn't getting paid by the hour. That's for sure. That's for sure. Anyway, we'll start chapter 10 next lesson. Looking forward to it. Very keen. I think I've got time to record a couple more lessons. Yes, I do. So I'll probably cover something like this next lesson, and then something like this the lesson after. So for me now in the present, the here and now, or anyone watching today, keeping up with the uploads, now that I've finished this, I'm going to achieve this and this on the 6th of July. I did take the 5th of July off. You know, I just been recording for like, I don't know, I think it was 37 days straight. So I thought day off would be okay, and it was. And then I'll finish it. So thank you so much. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope you've learnt lots. Hope your curiosity is speaking to you. And as always, semper fortis and opere. My name is Liam, and I'll see you next time.